Worked hard. Yeah, I was ready to go. Saturday night, delivered at 8 o'clock on Sunday morning. Really? Just a couple hundred bucks out of my pocket. Welcome, everyone, to the business meeting of City of Smith Center on October 28th. Where did the month go? I have the minutes here, the October 14th business meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review these minutes for additions or corrections? Has everybody had a chance to review the bills in front of you and the receipts, cash receipts? Yep. If that are all in order, I need a motion for all three.
Make a motion to pay the bills and approve the meeting minutes from October 14th, 2024.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to do that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. You have Karina on your speed dial.
They're pulled up here.
We have Karina Cox on the phone to do our CRV. Block Grant Development Program.
Hello, Karina, it's Jill with the City of Smith Center, and I've got the governing body here.
Okay, thank you very much. You guys are ready for me to talk now?
I believe we are.
Okay, wonderful. I really wanted to have this conversation with you guys in person, but I don't know if Jill mentioned I fell and broke my knee, so I'm not able to drive. So I do appreciate the call, but I really would have liked to have been there. I'm wanting to talk to you guys about your coronavirus, your CDR grant. If you remember, that grant started December 1st and it expires at the end of November. We haven't had much luck we have got 0 applications. It did take a long time at the beginning to get the environmental review done. And the project was based on the applicants that had submitted pre-application. I tried to contact every single one of them. The biggest one was Gene Cartland Booth. And in the middle of me doing the environmental review, a very complicated environmental review, they couldn't wait any longer, and they did their freezer improvements on their own. And hence, the CDBG was out the window. I did try to get them to reapply for other things that they could possibly use and had numerous conversations, but I never got an application. The other one was Kindleman. We spoke in May. She seemed really interested. I followed up in June. I didn't get any response. The abstract, Collier abstract, ended up not being eligible. Traditions, I sent an email and followed up in June and never got any response. The subway, that seems like it would be a really good project, but the owner really didn't seem to have a favorable feeling on the project. So I guess what I'm trying to find out from you guys today is, would you like to close this project out and just be done? All it takes is a motion and a letter, and we can be done. Or another option is the state is allowing time extension. However, I think it would be hard to get a time extension because we don't have anything in the work. If we actually had something, a project going on in the work, I think we could easily get a time extension. But seeing as how we haven't had any applications, I'm almost leaning the other way. If your project is up to you guys. One thing that I wanted to bring up to you guys, I checked with the state on this. We are eligible for our first administration payment. Usually I try not to bill that because we can only bill $3,000. You have to have $3,000 in the draw, and I was waiting to see if any businesses, needed that our amount to carry that over, but we never did get any, and that's why I haven't billed. So what the state said is, if you guys approve this draw tonight, they will give us our first admin payment, and you guys don't have to pay that back. What it does mean is that we would have to do a closeout hearing, and I would have to get the paperwork approved and close the project out if you decide to close it out. So, and what we've done to date is just, helping with the CDR plan and getting applications and trying to get the word out. We've helped with quarterly reports, phone calls, the environmental review, and just all the paperwork, working with the city to get everything under contract. So all of my other projects are a lot further ahead, and I think with Dana leaving, that had a huge bearing on it. What are your guys' thoughts of that?
On this CVR, how's come that everybody's been not either following through or dropping out of the applications? What's causing that?
It's not an easy process. The application doesn't seem that daunting to me, but to a business owner, it might be. And then, of course, we have to procure everything. So, to say we're going to get a time extension, if you choose different businesses, I have to redo the environmental review possibly. If you have a construction activity, it's very complicated. You have to, if it's over $25,000, you have to do competitive field bids, you have to advertise and solicit bids, and it's a ton of work. And I think nobody seems to be interested in all the work that had to be done.
That's kind of typical. Council, what's your thoughts? You want to continue this project, or shall we let it expire?
I don't see a need to keep it going. I mean, for Subway, it was started out, the reason that we were apprehensive to it is we'd have to do an asbestos study on a building that was built in 2014. It was later find out we didn't have to do that. And then on the application, it says that city council members cannot apply. So that's the
I
reason.
didn't hear any of that. Could somebody just repeat that?
The reason Subway, I'm the owner of Subway and I'm on the city council. On the application, it says that city council members cannot apply for the grant. So that disqualified Subway.
I just realized that, but you are correct. So you would be ineligible anyway.
And I know the issue, I've talked to Jeff at the grocery store. I know the issues out there. If nobody else has applied for it, I don't see a reason to keep it going.
Okay. And yes, and the grocery store, I didn't realize that it was time frame, and we had hired somebody to help, and he was a lot harder to find than I realized, and it did take us longer. But I put it into overdrive thinking it was still going to happen, and I was really hoping, keeping close contact with them, that they just couldn't take it any longer. So I apologize for that.
We're not penalized in any way by dropping this or allowing this to expire.
No, and not at all. They would rather you just be honest and give it back. It doesn't hurt you on any future application. You do actually. One of the points is, have you got a grant in the past 5 years? And so anybody who has got one, doesn't get a certain number of points. So it doesn't penalize you in the fact that, we didn't have a successful project, but everybody gets penalized if they've had a grant in the past year. So if you guys tell me you want to do a project next year, it would count against you. But it would count against any community that's gotten a grant.
Tabitha, you have anything?
And if that's your fact, I just got a phone call from Nick Rose, to help you guys with a hat possibly starting next month. And I wish I would have thought to just possibly, meet with the board. I don't know if that was even on the table or not, but I should have tried, I guess I could have tried meeting with them.
Well, I'm gonna ask Nick as to what his opinion is. Shall we try to continue this, or do you think we can make it offer, make it work? We got an extension?
Man, I don't know, just like without any ready projects in the pipeline, what are we doing? My only question.
Right. Now, the only project that would possibly stand a chance would be equipment only, or with something where an environmental review that didn't involve construction. And it's not so easy to get computers anymore. It's easier to, you have to really prove that in the event of another, coronavirus event, that this, what you're asking for, would have kept your doors open. So it's not something to make your business run smoother. It's what's going to keep your doors open in the next pandemic. And you have to prove it. So there's a lot to it. They throw their ideas out to me. I check with the state to make sure they're eligible. We make sure the business qualifies. We look at the environmental review. And then we have to procure everything. And if it's valued at $25,000 or more, like I said, it's competitive bids. It takes months and months just to go through this process. So you would have to have a nice list of businesses that only wanted equipment. It just hasn't happened that I've seen, but it could happen.
Okay. Yeah, I would say, I'm with Dana here too. I don't think we've got anything that's relevant for it, so I'm just around it.
Okay. Jill, is that your opinion, or what do you got for your opinion of this?
I don't have any businesses that have responded either on our inquiries. And as she said, if it's a new business with a new project, it's a whole nother ballgame, especially if it's not just equipment. So my
Building, just
suggestion
building
would
a
be
building, so.
to have you approve the request for funds so that their agency can get paid and she can schedule the closeout.
I would greatly appreciate that.
So we just need to approve the closeout and the payment of funds.
Well, it would just be a motion to approve the CDBG request for payment of CDBG fund number 1. And then I'll bring this closeout probably in November or December.
Okay. I need a motion to,
Hopefully I can drive by then.
okay. I need a motion to approve the CVB payment closeout.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you, Karina.
The only two people that are authorized to sign that page 1 of the draw in the middle would be Jill and then Ariel Hughes, the city treasurer.
She's no longer with us. And can we do one signature? Or do we have to have two?
We need to, so you guys, the motion's still good, we just need to update the signature form. When I get to work tomorrow, I will send you another one, and hopefully we can pick another person.
Am I on that?
Sign it.
Perfect. We will gladly do that.
Just you is there tonight, and also gonna be around, well, the mayor has to sign the form anyway, so you might as well, we need you as the mayor.
Sounds good.
Okay, I will get that, I will get that done. And then while I have you guys on the phone, can I tell you about one other opportunity that's gonna come out?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Karina.
Okay, I just want to let you guys know about it just in case. CDBG had their annual public hearing, and they're still in a comment period, but one new thing that's going to be coming out, normally the CDBG applications are due in May, and the only things that are eligible under community facilities now are libraries, community centers, trails, anything in a city park, and child normally there's $7 million statewide for all of those things, but only this May, they're pumping in an extra $14 million. So if you guys have any trails, sidewalks, possibly a park project, I'm doing a splash park application right now for Gorham. There's going to be a lot of money available. We're going to have to see if you need I can't remember, I don't think you guys have a low to moderate income survey, and I don't have access to the census right now to see if you guys qualify, but I just wanted to make you guys aware there's another opportunity with tons of money.
Okay.
Super. Thank you, Karina.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys very much. So is it my understanding that you approved the draw and you're just going to go ahead and close it out?
That is
That's correct.
correct.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you guys very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
Okay, any questions left on that? We'll move on. We have a guest this evening, Chris Rowe. What do you have to bring before the council?
I think that there was two things that we had on there. One of them was I've purchased the laundromat here across the alley. Or it's under contract anyhow. And so the city owns that little lot next to it. And I had visited with Jill about acquiring that. And she said that basically the process was to come through here and approve the sale of it. And then I guess we kind of agree on a price or whatever.
Where that's in commercial 1 district. Economic development, you want to run a contract on that to have a development part of that?
First, the first question is whether we need to put it out there. But it is
Yeah,
for
you
sale.
can't just like do a direct sale, I think, because you own it, so you'd have to take bids probably, depending on what the value of it is.
Well, we can have a opening for a plan. Somebody to have it open for a plan to develop it or whatever.
Yeah,
And
as a
then that
council,
way-
you all can certainly open it up to sell it and place whatever conditions on sale you would want.
Do you have a project in mind or you just want the lot?
Not particularly, just with it being adjacent to it, I guess it would be of value. And then, just whatever develop down the road, if it were to go towards like a restaurant or something, then it could be an outdoor patio type area or whatever, if it was like a small restaurant type situation. But honestly, right now, it's gonna go into just an office scenario. We're gonna strip it out, get it all cleaned out, and it's just gonna be set up for actually HPD office, and then probably do that for maybe a year or a year and a half or so, and then I'm gonna move my office. So from that point, at that point, I would either lease it out as office space or it can be used for kind of whatever. But mainly, I just wanted to, I had the opportunity to get a hold of it, and I want to get it looking better and keep it in good shape and get it up to snuff, I guess, is kind of what the idea is. So it was more attractive. It was more attractive to me with that lot next to it, just because it is adjacent to it and keep it nice or whatever.
Okay.
Which it looks great now, and I mean, it's being maintained. Right now, I think a group uses it for Christmas decorations. Honestly, I wouldn't have any reason to interfere with any of that, but until there was a formal plan, I guess it just had value because it's adjacent to it.
Okay, let's run it through the economic development, see, get their opinion on what they think or want to do with it, how they want to handle it. Council, opinion, Chris?
Like Tabitha said, we'll have to put it up for bid, what we're going on.
Likely, I know that the value of the property, like the appraised value, will make a difference on the specific statutory scheme you have to follow, and I don't have it memorized. So, but I can look into it and let you know your different options for if you decided you wanted to sell it, the different mechanisms that you could do that.
Okay.
But I know that, yeah, you wouldn't be able to just turn around and sell it to someone without opening it up.
And that's what I was gonna say, we need to put it in some sort of requirements.
Yeah, okay, I'll look into it.
You,
Okay, and then the second item, I was hoping Tracy was gonna be here. But the second item is I acquired the old filling station on Highway 204 from Fletcher, or it's under contract. And so we're gonna renovate that. I guess not a couple of challenges. One challenge with it is it's gonna need a septic tank. Because it's not on any sewer. And so what Tracy and I visited about was asking the city council for an easement on that property just to the west, which is where the water plant is, to run the lateral lines. And so the reason for that is because the city has basically all of their water lines on that property where that building is, on like 3 different sides, or, on 2 different sides of it that go all the way around where a septic tank would make sense. So what he's kind of wanting to do is just head directly off, I'm gonna call it the west, kind of sits catty corner there, but directly off the west, jump the city line, and then have a lateral field headed west where he felt like he knew all about where everything was out there, and that would make sense.
there's a
So,
lot underneath that ground out there that we don't even know what's there.
right. So I guess that's what he was gonna, or that's what we had discussed about, was just asking for.
Rick, is there any possibility to hook up to sewer?
Block and a half,
Block and a half?
have to bring them into the city.
It's not in the city.
Right. Which has some attraction to
It's
it.
not in the city yet.
We could run over to on Ohio Street, block east, and there's a deadhead manhole there, or you'd have to run clear over to New York Street.
What's your idea with the laterals is, is it gonna be rented out or
No, so,
what's?
well, so one advantage to getting it onto the city, so, and I'm gonna articulate to the best of my understanding of it. So county has certain septic tank rules, and the city does not particularly.
Well, the
So,
city does not because they're not allowed.
They're not
Okay.
allowed in the city.
So there
well,
is a rule.
okay, the rule is it's not allowed, so that's fine.
That is the
So-
rule.
What the idea is there's only 3 toilets in it. It's basically just gonna be an office. And so we probably won't even have 3 toilets. We'll probably just put 2 toilets back into it. But, so it's like the bare minimum of water usage. And so, he was talking about it needed far less than what the minimum requirement is. The minimum requirement is like 100 feet of lateral line. Part of the problem is with all the driveway there, the idea is you don't want to drive on all the laterals on the front side of it.
Yeah.
And on the back side of it is where all the water lines are.
I really think we'll have problems because I know just out here in our regular residential, we can't have sewer lines within how many feet of a water line?
Well, he knew so that's why I wish he was
Well,
here.
there's-
Like, he had it all figured out.
There's no water lines on the west side of that building where they want to go. All of our mains come in on the east side of that building. He's wanting to go out the west side.
That's not true. I want to go up the east side. I wanna
That's
see
not
where
what he
the
said
water
to start
is.
with, and
You're
that's
right.
gonna be impossible. He said west, and I was
West
thinking,
is
well, how are you gonna
towards
go
the
to the
street.
highway?
Yeah, west is towards the street. So east is out the back, which is where the sewer comes out now. So there's a big one, I guess, that runs there that goes out to somebody's house that runs through Fletch's lot down there.
So where's the sewer go now?
Into the garden.
What?
Well,
I mean,
that
it's
thing
it's unoperable. but
It
I
hasn't
mean,
been in business for
Yeah.
40 years.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, you got an active sewer there.
No.
Don't give me a heart attack. Jamie?
Well, when I used to live in the house that was down there, by that building down there, one reason they had to move that house was because of their well. the septic or the line was running close to, I don't know if that has anything to do with over to the east of that or not, but
Before we grant anybody any permission for that, we've got to have our engineers look at it, review it.
Yeah,
Because I know just that's touchy for our water lines. And if we ever have a problem, you got laterals over, I just see a mess. But we'll have to run it through our engineers and see what they think.
okay, very good.
Before we can make a decision.
Well, and the contract on that is pending that I can have necessary
Yeah,
utilities. And there's quite a little interest in keeping the building, and it's a solid little building, or
Yeah.
the brick part is, so, that's what we're just trying to figure out is the solution. And so he had several solutions, and he thought the easiest one would be to ask for that. And so,
can we get a whole, Greg know what to think on that.
We'll just have to look at the map and show you where it's at, show you where the feed lines from Gaylord are and where Lyle Morgan's line's at.
Yeah.
It's all mapped out. We don't need to get Wilson and Company involved. You guys just need to look at it.
Well, we need to know if we can have laterals that close to,
4 foot. Water line and sewer line is supposed to be 4 foot apart. Now lateral line, I don't know.
Because
Laterals.
we need to have it checked out, because I don't know.
yeah, so I guess we need to get it checked out if we're gonna go across onto the city side. And otherwise, then we just have to figure out a new plan, I guess. So part of what the logic behind that was with so much water on this property that it would maybe make logical sense to, be able to put what should be on this property on the adjacent property, because all of this, water lines were on that property, clogging it up, I guess, is kind of what I'm saying. So anyways, mainly we're just trying to find a solution for it and to get it up and going. So,
All right,
yep.
we'll get back with you, Chris, on this stuff. Thank you. You may stay. We're going to be here a while. We have the golf course pump bid from Downey. Is that what this is? Rick, is this your presentation?
Okay. So the first one you're looking at, 12,165, that's a submersible pump. That's not what we've had ever. And that's what I think we need to go back with. We can pull that pump every fall, put it back in the spring, just like we do with the pump out the sewer ponds, pump it to the golf course. It'll have a shut off, a transducer to tell it when it gets low so it can't run itself out of water. And the next page, the $22,000 is exactly what we had in there that lasted approximately 5 months. We just had it rebuilt. It was only $4,000 or $5,000, whatever it was to rebuild it, but it didn't last. I'm not sure that pump hasn't been in since that setup's been there from the go, since we started watering out there.
So we do have the original one fixed.
No, it went out middle August, or middle September, into September, burned up. And we put that in, all rebuilt this spring, April or May.
Council, you have an opinion?
I don't think we got a choice really, but if we can go to the better setup for nearly half as much money, we don't have any, it's gotta be repaired, correct?
Yeah, it runs the whole sprinkler system at the golf course.
And is this a spring project for them, or would it be,
Well, it will be for us, once again, just like last year, there's no sense of us putting that pump in there and it sits there all winter. That's just another 6 months of warranty gone out of it, so we'll have it installed in the spring and be brand new starting in the spring. It's my way of thinking anyway.
when we were discussing this submersible is basically like a farm well pump, but more massive, and it's got the high and low switches. As far as human fault, we really can't mess anything up here, right?
No, it hooks right into the strut, to the, whatever the heck it's called, I can't think of it now, on the panel out there, and it'll shut it off when the transducer says it's at so many feet, you set it wherever. It's just like the water plant. It'll run itself.
Do we have any salvage value in the old unit?
I don't know.
You got a 25 horsepower motor there, ought to be worth something.
It's fried.
That's fried.
That's what's fried.
Jesus.
And I talked, a little bit off the subject, we've got about 5 of those, 4 of them down in the old building at the water plant that come out of the old wet well. Great big old 30 horsepower motors. And I talked to different people and they're obsolete. We might as well just haul them on a curb and sell them for scrap, is my opinion. Dan Free said that everybody's gone submersible and those are way too big. Those were what come out of our wet well to start with, pump water to the tower. But they're sitting down there, they're old and rusty and
Jill, where would we source the funding for this?
Good question. It's likely at this point going to have to come out of general fund unless, I don't know that I can qualify this as an equipment reserve, but I can check.
Well, you can pull some of it out of the sewer. Because that's primarily what we're handling. That's how we paid for this other one. Sewer and water.
I can. We're not too awfully tight. We're a little bit tight with stuff coming along, but still have some room.
that's my recommendation, the submersible pump, and we just purchase it this spring, tell them that's what we want, they can get it all put together, or whatever they want to do, and tell them we want it in April.
Do you think they'd hold this bid till then?
Don't know. Maybe they get cheaper.
Could be.
Well, we could go ahead and approve it and pay for it and they can hold off.
Yeah, just don't build it till we're ready for it.
Yeah.
That's what they did with the last one, I think we paid for it, and they just waited till spring, so we got our full warranty out of it, which didn't make any difference.
Comment, council?
Submersible makes sense. Submersible one makes sense. Can do the same thing, it's cheaper.
The thing I think about it, it's, should have been set up originally, where you take care of itself instead of have to have somebody watch it or whatever.
Take
Brady,
I'm in agreement.
Chris,
Yes, sir.
make the motion.
I'll make that motion to approve the bid from Downey Drilling, $12,165 for the submersible pump.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Rick, having, notify him and having Bill when you're ready.
Okay,
Jill, we have vision care.
The Vision Care direct information is in your packet. I'll let you know premium increase for the upcoming year that starts December 1st. I just need a motion and second to approve the renewal.
Same coverage options and
Yes.
no increase in premium. That's amazing.
Doesn't happen very often.
That's just admitting you're too high. Anyway,
I'll make a motion to approve the visual care
we need a
renewal.
second.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the vision care premium. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Healthcare insurance, we have,
This one's a little more complicated. If you'll go to this spreadsheet in your packet, here's what she typically does put together for us. As you'll see, the first column at the top is where we currently are. She does have one employee missing that we just added to this, so we actually have 9 employee-only policies on that, so the dollar amounts are a little different. The renewal right next to it, UHC, is the most comparable to what we have right now. The renewal is not completely across the board the same, as you can see in some of those deductibles. She also went and got premium from Blue Cross Blue Shield and Aetna, and then some variances with UHC as well. The renewal in the second column is the best fit in combination with the deductibles, co-insurance, co-pays, and prescriptions. One of the things that, one of the lesser amounts on deductibles, and it looks like a pretty good plan, that the deductible does drop down in some of those, but as you'll see below, the prescription drugs go towards the deductible and co-insurance, which in turn ends up costing both the employee and the city more money in the end. And as you'll recall, and for those of you that are a little newer, we have 2 insurances. We have UHC and Freedom Claims. Freedom Claims is what is purchased by the city to lessen those deductibles and make it a little more affordable for the employees. So when we're looking at that difference, that's part of that comparison. However, this is showing a substantial increase at 17.48%. But with the approval that the council made at the last meeting of a little over 17,000 that we were refunded to go towards. I haven't looked at the figures yet, but it does look like we're going to be able to keep that across the board without using reserves. My suggestion to you was going to be, before working in those numbers, that we use some of the medical reserves that the city has put back, as we did in 2014, I believe. We have the medical reserves built up to a little over 90,000. We could offset that with about a $15,000 payout for the medical reserves to keep those premiums in line. However, with the 17,000, so we were refunded, that should keep everything there. I will go through and figure each employee just to make sure that that is correct.
so it's gonna go from annual fee from 178 to 210.
It's actually a little more than that. We have one more employee-only policy that was added.
So that's actually only insuring 10 employees?
That's 13, we have 14. And then if economic development and chamber ends up having a position there or 2 positions there, that would have, that's either 15 or 16, depending on whether they would utilize that benefit or not.
The 210's based on 14
That's based on 13.
or 13.
It's a little, like I said, it's a little bit higher than that because we do have one more employee-only policy.
That's about the usual, or it was 16,000.
But we almost run even when I divide that out, when I take the new and divide that out throughout the year and take that 17,000, we should be right at the same rate, if not a little bit less for each employee by using that refund.
You're only wanting to use 15,000 of that refund.
No, I want to use all, we have to use all that refund.
Have to use.
But by doing that, it may decrease the policy just a tad. It wouldn't be much.
So basically, we'll just stay with this renewal plan, not change it.
That is my recommendation to renew
Not
with
go to
UH.
silver, bronze, or platinum.
The out-of-pocket for the city side would end up being quite high
That
to meet
platinum
those
one's kinda-
deductibles. Or yes, you can do the platinum, but that's gonna cost
That's the
you.
federal government thing.
300 grand.
70% increase.
Yikes. Ouch. Comments, council?
Is everybody happy with the insurance so far? I think last year they were.
I am, but are you? Have you heard anything with guys? About the same?
And I was like, I don't care, just keep it moving.
Our biggest issue is usually making sure that providers are submitting to 2 insurances. That's usually where we end up.
Somebody want to make,
I'll move to make the renewal with,
any more comments, council? Motion on the floor to make the renewal, use the refund money.
So if our overage, three claims was, you said 17,000,
Yeah, it's a little more than 17.
17 and change, and we're gonna allot that towards the $210,000 estimated annual premium. So that's still gonna put us around $193,000 annually, where we spent $178,000 last year. How are we gonna keep the, how's that number gonna come out? You're thinking it's gonna come close. How's that, when there's a variance in those two numbers?
Because there's always a variance in those numbers compared to what the actual premiums end up being. We take the total of everything because we don't charge each employee by their age and their premium amount. So say you have an employee that is 62, their insurance rate's gonna be higher, plus if they have any dependents versus someone that's 30. We take it and we average it and divide it out. Where that premium still ends up close, it's never exact. And this one has one less person, which brings it down. The person that we added
Right.
is a young individual, which offsets that dollar amount. And I'd be happy to put that all on the new spreadsheet. I didn't have time to get it for this meeting, but I can do that for the next one if you'd like to wait.
I don't do fuzzy math, but, you know, it's just unfortunate that we have to, for one, consider using our reserves, which, yeah, I understand they're in excess, but we might need those someday.
Right. And I don't think we're going to have to with that refund.
And then secondly, this refund is giving us a false sense of a lower, you know, cost for insurance, but, you know, I agree, we've got to use it, and it'll get us closer to where we were, but it just makes you wonder where it's ever going to stop or level off at.
Do you get a refund every year?
No, this was based on UHC. If they don't have a certain percentage that they've paid out on everything other than administrative costs.
Right.
They went over on administrative costs, so they have to share that percentage back.
So in the past, you haven't gotten that?
Not like that, no. We have gotten very small refunds back, nothing that large.
Years ago, when we put this up for bids for the first time with Blue Cross, I recall that for the first time in ever, their quote came in cheaper. Is her process in asking for a bid the same as before we were doing this for us?
We now, Alicia is able to get that from this application.
The process is the same, they know we're checking around.
Yes, and I do talk to that agent individually as well, just to make sure that they have connected.
Years ago, before you were the mayor, we put it out for bids for the first time, because up until then, we just renewed every year.
Mhm.
And the first time it went up for bids, ironically, it went down.
It got cheaper.
Yeah. But anyway, I agree with Brady. I'll second that motion with United Healthcare.
Got a motion for United Healthcare to do the renewal on the Anita. You got a second?
He motioned, I second.
All those in favor? United Healthcare.
Aye.
Say aye. Motion carried. Under new business, we will do the cereal malt beverage license. Who do you have?
Casey, they have submitted their renewal for 2025. Their payment is in line. The KBI background check came back positive, and everything is good. Just need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Need a second? Been moved and seconded to approve the cereal malt beverage license. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Street lights.
I went to the county commissioners. This is kind of my deal. I want to light that road up south of the hospital. We have no street lights at all on that road. The very south edge of the hospital parking is the only street lights on that whole road. So I got with Brandon Blue. We would put approximately 8 lights. They'd have to set 7 poles. There's already a pole at the corner of Kansas and whatever that street's called. And I think, do we need to name that street and get an address for it? Because we were trying to call a dig safe in today and,
Yeah, it's not a street, it's just part of their parking. It's like an access onto that.
well, how do you call a dig safe in when you don't have a street address, is all I'm saying. So anyway, I took it to the county commissioners. They agreed to pay half of it. There's no charge for installing the poles or for the lights. It's gonna be $16.25 a month for each new light where we put a pole, and $11.25 a month for the pole that's already there with the light on it.
And you're talking 3?
Lights?
Yeah.
No, there will be 8 total,
8.
every 200 foot. And they'll set on the east side of that street, so to help light up the walking path, the new walking sidewalk from the school and Sun Porch and the hospital. And the biggest thing is we go up there and move snow, and you can't see anything. When there's snow on the ground, you're up there with the blade on, you can't see the entrance to Sun Porch, you can't see the side of the road, and half of that's got to drop off like that. If you drop your tire off, you're getting pulled out, you know.
Are those prices in line with what we're already paying for streetlights?
I don't know, but the wire alone's $6,000. I mean, the poles are $500 a piece and the wire's $6,000. They aren't charging us for that, so.
Will these be LED?
Yep, just like the new bright ones, that they're changing all of those. Every time they have a light go out, those LEDs go in.
That was my next question. I see that we're starting to get a few of those. Is that the replacement?
Mhm. And those are adjustable, for your knowledge. If you get one outside your house and it's too bright, they can turn them down, or they can turn them up.
BB gun or?
That was my adjustment, but no, they are adjustable.
So on that note, then it won't interfere with
Comments,
the
council?
porch or anything.
Uh,
If we can turn the brightness down a little, if we needed to.
Not to my knowledge. I mean, they all got curtains.
You said the county's gonna pay half.
They offered to pay out.
Comments?
I think we can do it.
Brady? Chris?
How are we gonna manage that? If you're saying they'll pay half of the monthly, how are you gonna do that? Oh, the bill, they will bill the county for 4 and they'll bill us for 4 or how?
I don't know.
With the school, they pay for one extra light, they reimburse us, and so we have set it up. And in this case, I would ask for a contract, please.
Mhm.
That way there's something on the books, just to show, and it helps down the road too if there's ever a question or if it needs to be raised. Because of course, as time goes on, those costs are gonna increase.
Let's approve the project and figure out how we're gonna handle it.
Did you make-
No,
I make that motion with a contract with the county at 50%.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve the streetlights with the county for 50%. All those figures say aye. Motion carried. Land rent property, which is 200 East Kansas. What are we gonna do with that?
Tear it down.
That would be our recommendation as well.
You're gonna hurt the local cat population.
It's so pretty. That's within the capabilities of the city.
Yeah, I talked to Travis, and if we need him to come top, knock the top half in, there's a basement in that, so we can knock it into the basement, dig it out. We can handle it.
Well, it's probably more valuable than anyway.
For sure.
We need a motion to approve to do that.
I'll make the motion to tear down 200 East Kansas.
Need a second.
Hang on. The only thing, I agree, it needs to come down. I just have a hard time. There's contractors in town that do this for a living, and I don't want to compete with those guys. That's just my opinion. I know we got the ability in some respects to do this, especially with the help of this county, but
I agree with the comments you made, and we have a little project over here beside this laundromat that we talked to a little bit ago. How a free building turned into a $10,000 project.
Yep.
And it's an area smaller than half of this room. I don't feel that we're in competition with them because we own the house. That's my opinion. I don't feel like we ought to be throwing $8,000 or more at something like this. I think that's what it would go. You don't think it will, Rick?
Yeah, I think we ought to tear it down ourselves.
I agree that there are probably projects that we need to hire them for, but if we can save the dollar, we need to save it. Unless they need to bail us out when we get in too deep. Did you make a motion to tear the house down?
I did, yes.
Have a motion on the table, we'll go ahead and have the city crew tear that down. Do I have a second for that motion? Got a second? All those in favor of have the city tear that house down,
Aye.
say aye.
I think, I got one more thing on that, Bryce.
Motion carried.
Okay, the county, I'm not sure what we're gonna do with it. Are they gonna take it? That's something we probably ought to find out.
What do you, take what, the property?
Take all the materials
The
that we,
landfill.
Oh, gotcha. I was like,
because they're getting pretty picky on a lot of stuff, and I think that's maybe something we ought to check out before we,
Second option is put it on the courthouse lawn. We'll check it out, see if we have a little eagle problem out there. We have another property here.
The next item on new business is condemnation. We have two properties that we would have added to that. The first page, you'll see there's just the steps that we have to take. Following that, for each property, we have a letter to the Bright City Council from Rick as enforcement officer. Each one of those properties, I went and took images of last week and included those in your packet so that you can see the negligence that has occurred and that they are unsafe and dangerous to others. And as well as some of the neighboring properties, as you can see there, some of them are close enough. They are likely dealing with some critters as well.
I can sure.
Broad daylight in the afternoon when I took the pictures, and there were possums at the second property. In broad daylight,
No.
middle of the afternoon.
And you got the photos.
Almost.
Would have been
I think I do have one
So
that's got
fast.
parts on.
This sheet here that shows the owners is 604. Are they alive?
Don't know.
I know one of them is
604 what?
East Kansas and Park Street. Yeah, East
There's a man
Kansas.
sitting there that can tell you all about that, because we've been working on it.
We've been working on it a couple of different times. I know Dana's taken a run at it. I've taken a run at it. Raquel's taken a run at it. We seem like sometimes we get somewhere and then like dad is gonna deed it to the daughter, and then the last deal, mine turned into some late night text messages from the daughter saying that she has health problems and is trying to raise money and anything can help, and it was really strange, actually. So you can draw your own assumptions about that, but I guess we've just run down the road several times and hit some dead ends from several different angles, and so that's when we visited the other day that, okay, so it needs, here's my opinion. If it's a problem, they really want to get rid of it. If they start thinking somebody's interested in it because it's worth something, then it goes to this whole next level. So I guess that's where, if you hit them with the mowing bill and you make it to where it's kind of an issue, like demanding repairs or whatever, they're gonna be real quick to get rid of it.
Has the
And
taxes been paid on this property?
taxes are paid, which I don't know that they're really that much because it's no
Has
value.
the city been mowing it? Has the city turned the bill into the
Not
tax?
yet, we haven't turned them in yet, but Brock mowed it all last year, we just basically took it over this year. Because Mrs. Robinson, she lived in Goodland, she owned that house, and then she passed away last year, so.
The survivor is Russell Blunt in Salina.
So he lives in Salina.
Correct.
Is he the only property owner to it, or we got?
He's the only surviving owner on the deed.
That's all that's listed on there. It's that supporting documents, that's who they have as current ownership.
So our letter is to do a condemnation on 604.
Yeah, and so I do have letters drafted that if the council approves to go through the condemnation as we did, I don't think you were here then, it was probably 2015,
I think we started even before that, like in like
2014.
2014.
Yeah, I think so, if it seems like that. And we had, I think we started with 8 or 9 properties at that point. If the council decides to move forward, sorry, our pages got a little out of order when we were making copies because they were shooting off the copier, so. There is a resolution that would then need to be approved by the governing body. I send out letters. I also have to have it in the paper this week and next week, 2 consecutive weeks. Following the second printing, there has to be a 30-day written notice, which is, I would send that letter right away with the resolution so that that is covered.
And you set it for a hearing basically, and then
Correct.
we've done it before, but it's been a long time. So you have your public hearing, and as long as you've met your notice requirements, then the owners can come in and they can contest your findings, or they can show you a plan to rehab the property, and then you can either agree to give them extra time to do that. The statute gives you plenty of options, but if nobody shows up, then basically Rick gives you his findings and you make a determination about whether or not the property should be raised or rehabbed.
If you choose to move forward with these, that would put in the paper, starting on the 31st for 2 weeks, and would set the hearing. Gotta find where it was. I believe it's the beginning of December. It has to be 30 days following final notice in the paper. It'd be the first meeting in December when we could set that hearing for.
Okay. Comments, council, on how we're handling these 2 properties?
Something's gotta be done with them. We got kids running in and out of one of them, I know for sure, so.
Let's be proactive. Everett, comments?
No, I agree. If it's, we gotta do something on it before somebody gets hurt. Kids are getting kids.
Chris?
I agree.
I need a motion to pass resolution 2024-7 on these 2 properties.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
And then move second to approve resolution 2024-7. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Only sign this copy.
So does the resolution not set the time for the hearing?
No, an associated letter.
Okay, you'll do that later. All right.
Why is that?
Just couldn't picture it.
Nations, are we ready for committee reports, department head reports?
Yes.
All right, we finally got to you, Nick. You may have the floor for economic development.
Thank you. Exciting stuff you guys are doing here. So just running through, we had a couple of meetings actually since the last time you guys had met up, and I'm gonna get started with the economic development regular business, and then I've got some guys from the chamber here as well. We're gonna talk about an employment issue. So committee reports, the main thing is our housing committee has brought the idea or the concept of a fix and flip program. And there was a copy of that in the stuff here that you guys had ahead of time. Essentially what it does is what we're trying to do or hoping to do is to create a pool of money and make loans to local contractors. And the key word being contractors, they have to be proven. They can't just be somebody who wants to do a home repair. But the idea is that we could create a pool of money that contractors could access to stimulate rehabbing houses. And ideally, it's for the houses that aren't occupied right now. Our housing committee has a list of, gosh, I don't know, 50 to 60 houses in town that are in different states of dilapidation and no habitation. And what we want to do is, that's low hanging fruit for creating more housing in the community versus going out and starting up, building new housing. So we just wanted to try to create a program that helps to stimulate that. The banks aren't real friendly with what they might consider speculative lending, and we have a lot of developers in town here that could access these funds. We modeled this program after the city of Hayes, and then the other one is Hill City, I believe, is that right? Norton, right. They have programs identical to this already. And so we didn't try to reinvent the wheel here. We just borrowed their format and their program. We have economic development have set aside $50,000 in our budget for next year to potentially use for a program like this. The idea would be is that we would go out and solicit funds from different entities like the Dane G. Hansen Foundation or other entities out there that have money to donate to these type of projects. That's exactly how they got funded in the other communities as well. So we just wanted to try to do something here. And again, I just want to stress that this is what we're trying to do is approve this idea or this concept. So we're not necessarily asking to hit the ground running with the program next week or anything like that. the next phase would be is once everybody's bought in on it and says, yeah, we like the idea of this program, then we go out and start to secure funding for it. And then once we got that program funded, then we would talk about launching it and what that exactly looks like. But for the most part, the program is boiled down into a couple of pages there. And I don't know if you guys need to approve that or not, but it was a recommendation of our housing committee to the economic development that we start this. We wanted to make sure you guys were on the loop of what we were talking about, especially with the dollars that we're talking about, and wanted to get it in front of you guys.
So if you're thinking $50,000, that'd be for 2024,
It'd be for the 2025, yeah.
2025.
Yeah. And it'd be out of so next year, and it was just part of our budget planning this year for next year. We just said, hey, we would set aside 50 because a lot of these programs like Dane G. Hansen, they want to see that the community has skin in the game too. And so that's why we're saying, hey, we'll set aside 50,000, but what we're going to be going out after is hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That's true. But my thought is on this is you're gonna have to probably break it down into different segments so one guy don't get it all.
Yeah, and that's part of the things that I think that we really want to continue to kind of hammer out. I mean, I know there's been some discussion about that, and really we try to prioritize, or this is the way I interpret all the discussions that we've had. We just try to prioritize it based on who's ready to go with the project. I mean, we're not trying to divvy out 5,000 here, 5,000 here, 5,000 here. We want the money to go where it's going to be most successful. And if that goes all to one developer on one project, that's it. I mean, that's just what the program is. But ideally, we'd want to have a big enough war chest that we could do multiple programs or multiple projects. I don't anticipate, like our max on it is 125,000 that would be available to be borrowed by one individual. So there's a little bit of a cap there too, and how much.
Yeah, you're gonna have to cap it somewhere.
Yeah, and it's also capped on the type of renovations that they're doing, right? So like they have to end up with a product that's still a $200,000 or less house. We can't have somebody going in there and going, oh, we're gonna put travertine floors in and marble, and we got $1 million house now. So the idea is to keep affordable housing. But I would probably, I don't necessarily see that 100. I don't see most developers taking that 125 all out. I could see them being more in smaller chunks of like 25,000 to 75,000, probably realistically in that range. Because we're talking about going in and rehabbing existing homes. So that might be, hey, we got to replace all the water lines and then put new flooring down here or whatever. Like it's not as expansive as, hey, we're building a new house from zero here.
Are you gonna limit to materials, no labor?
I don't think so. I think we'll put it all in there if that's what somebody needs to do. But the keys are too is that they've got to be able to bring their plan, first of all, to the economic development, get approved by that, bring the plan to city council. So it'd get approved just like any other program would. I don't know that we would necessarily put a limit on it other than we'd want to see a real detailed breakdown of, okay, is there egregious amount of hours that you're charging for your labor? But I think
and that's kind of where I'm at. We do that stuff
Right.
too, and I don't really put a value on my
Right.
labor. It's just what we
Right.
have in it when we're done.
Yeah.
If I hire somebody.
Yeah.
Dana?
So I want to just make it clear that this is a 12-month loan,
Yeah.
right? This is a revolving loan fund that we would set up, and then once that project is done on the market and sold, the loan is paid back to economic development.
Yeah,
and those
you'll run
funds
it,
can
you'll
be
run it
used.
through escrow
Right.
to close it out.
Correct. Yeah. And we had in there too that there's an application fee. If somebody just wants to apply for this, they have an application fee. They
I
got to
see
apply
that,
$1,500. So you got to be first of all, serious about it. And then that fee goes to cover and make sure that we've got everything done from a legal and title standpoint and making sure that we have a mortgage position on that property then that we're loaning money on. And the idea here is that you don't have a bank default.
Well, true, but if you do the closing at title, you don't have to have a loan or a mortgage.
Right, for sure. Yeah. As long as we make sure we get that recorded, any kind of interest that we would, or security interest that we'd have. needs to be
That is
recorded.
paid.
Right. But I mean,
Program, 50 won't go very far.
no, and that's why I say 50 is just our seed money of it. Our goal is then to go out and get a couple $100,000, from some of these other entities that are out there that are donating money. So 50 is just to show that, hey, we would just seed this thing. We got skin in the game.
What are you asking for us permission to proceed?
Permission to speak, proceed, blessing. Just wanted to keep you guys in the loop. Like I said, I don't know that we need a motion on anything really, to be honest with you at this point, because really we're just trying to get this concept move forward so that we can, because our next phase is funding. So like we go, hey,
So
if you guys are good
for
with
now,
this.
you want them to approve the concept, and then at some point when you actually have a plan that you want, then they're gonna. look
That's
at
right.
your Plan. And
Yeah.
approve
Hey, we
that. Okay.
We got $300,000 in the coffer. We're ready to launch this program. And then again, each individual application would come through your guys' council, just like it does any other program where we, donate money to, or not donate, but contribute money to do commercial revitalization plans or, whatever, any other grants that we'd have.
Comments, council? Anybody want to go first?
They're trying to get some housing going in town. I think we need to keep working on it.
There we go.
No, I agree. I think could be a good program.
Chris?
Cool. All right.
It's consensus of the council to proceed.
Thank
with
you.
this. It sounds like an awful program.
All right, moving on down my list here. The next major thing that we had is at the end of this month, our consulting agreement with Dana Peterson expires, and we've had her on essentially lack of a better term, a retainer, but we've had her under a consulting agreement for the last year to continue to provide economic development services, going to meetings, working with and coordinating a lot of the programs that we already have implemented. So that's up for. Both of us have decided we're not going to renew the existing 1-year contract with her, but we would like to extend for 2 months of this year. So it'd be November and December. This program that was outlined here in the packet, and it just talks about engaging Dana's consulting services. And this would be, so during Dana's current consulting agreement expires October 31st. The board unanimously voted to engage Dana at a rate of $2,500 per month for the months of November 24 and December 24 per the proposal that's included in there. And this would be the agreement's based off of a base offering of that agreement of $1,500 a month plus what they call in that agreement is option 2, which is another $1,000 a month. So that's where the $2,500 per month comes from. But essentially, it's we're keeping her engaged outside of the employment scope, but inside of a consulting agreement. Did I say that correctly, Dan? Good enough. And I just want to stress, Dana's been super valuable for us. With her last consulting agreement, she's done above and beyond what was even in that agreement. I think that's very important to note here. So we're talking about a lot of personal time of hers committed, that in that last agreement. And really where we're going to with this is the next agenda item is we're talking about hiring a joint person with Chamber of Commerce to do a lot more of the administrative work of the Chamber of Commerce and the economic development. And so a big part of what I would envision having Dana continue to be involved with as well is helping to get that person trained on our systems, know where the files are, start to get this stuff built up, because we haven't done anything on it for the last year. I mean, I've got files on my computer at home. I know Nancy's got files on her computer. And so there's going to be a whole process of just getting all this stuff back into the economic development computer and organized. So.
Yeah, from the entire room.
Chris, your thoughts?
No, that's what you guys, your board met and agreed upon. You know better what you need than what we know. So I would agree with your offering of extension for November, December.
Everett?
No, I agree. I'd extend it to have her keep helping you to bring that new person in and get them running. So
cool.
I am not going to ask Brady what he thinks.
Gotcha.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I need a motion to approve.
Make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
All right, thank you guys. Another quick one here and then getting into the chamber stuff. We've got in our financial reviews, our monthly financial reviews, one of the things we look at is revolving loan balances. We've got a habitual non-payer on one of our borrowers for the revolving loan. I don't want to out anybody here. It's in the notes who it is. Our board is at the last meeting had set in a directive to send this person a final or a notice, a demand letter, if you will. And then our idea was to turn it over to collections, but I don't want to do any of that without talking to council or, anybody else on the city council that has any ideas about it or how we should handle that or what. But I have reached out to this individual on numerous occasions. I've heard back from them and I just, they just keep saying, well, we're busy. We don't have the money. We got this and this to pay for and this to pay for. And I mean, I don't know what else to do. I don't have that much teeth to put in, collections.
We worked out another situation earlier in the year. I'll get with me.
Okay.
And we'll see what we can
Yep.
take.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's just one of those things that we talk about at every meeting. We're like, man, nothing's changing.
Well, and this is an avenue that the collection is basically headed through myself and
Sure.
council of what they agreed upon to do. We want you guys to move forward.
Yeah, and I
Not worry about paying.
I appreciate that too. We just also didn't want to make any legal missteps or something, and just willy-nilly sending demand letters out to people. So I appreciate that.
I'll get with you.
Okay. Perfect. All right. I think the last order of business I have then is we had an executive session, and I just got these notes in late because our executive session was Thursday night and I was traveling, but I just got these in this morning.
Do you need an executive session?
I won't say any names or anything, I guess. So I just was letting you guys know we had an executive session to discuss the hiring of an individual. We had met with Jerry and Melissa Westbrook and Galen Allen from the Chamber of Commerce and did a joint interview of a potential applicant for an administrative type level position. We did that last Monday. The meeting went just fine, or the interview went just fine. Scott Roth and I went out and checked references on this individual applicant. And then we had our economic development met Thursday night, just over a Zoom call real quick to talk about it. It was our decision or our unanimous, thoughts that we should go ahead and make an offer to this person. This would be on the city's pay scale, step 1. That's the annual payment or the annual salary amount of $31,200. This would be a full-time position working for and with the Chamber of Commerce and the Smith Center Economic Development Advisory Boards. Hiring of the employment candidate should be subject to your guys' approval. The position, basically the way that we budgeted this position was we were proposing to take $20,000 out of the economic development budget, and then the chamber gets about $12,000 a year from the city for their person. We were just going to combine those. I think that I think this is something that we could discuss with Jill too, but my thought in my head was just that we would pay for that, economic development would pay for that individual, and then we would just get reimbursed by the Chamber of Commerce. But then that person would just be, I don't know how you call that, they're a economic development employee, a chamber employee, both, neither.
Or be a city employee.
City employee, right, like that's what I was, just a general city employee.
And they would have any benefits entitled.
We have others that are in that same situation, the housing board and the library, both have agreements.
Yeah.
You'll probably have to tweak your job descriptions a little bit. just to,
Based on that administrative
Yeah.
position.
Yeah,
that's
yeah, and
something
this
that
is like
can be
all,
done
like,
for
easily.
sure.
super new to, I mean, it just came about pretty quick, last week that this all came about. And so, I think there's still some things that need to be hashed out, like certainly getting with Jill and talking about, and not just Jill, but the city as a whole, and talking about, okay, how does this, as far as like supervisor, who's, you know, who's the day-to-day person this person needs to talk to. I think there's some of those things that we need to work out.
Okay. But your board is willing to offer this individual?
The Economic Development Board is, and then Jerry, I don't want to speak for you guys, but,
Well, the applicant came to the chamber and filled out the application.
that's where it started.
And I contacted that individual, and they wanted a full-time position. I said, well, we don't have a full-time position. But we had talked with Economic Development before that maybe they're having a trouble time finding, filling, we are too, so maybe we can get somebody in there together. And that's when I called Nick and we set up a interview with that individual and went there.
I like the concept. If you guys have vetted this person, I'd recommend to the council to approve it. But when you're due the $12,000 for your chamber, is that basically what you use it for, is to pay your help, or do you need more than that, or?
Well,
Or
it's, quite truthfully, we've been paying Diane a very little sum of money. Less than $10 an hour. Of course, that's just part-time, but still, you can't find anybody that's gonna work for that nowadays.
Yeah.
And so we're thinking that with the money you give us and so forth, that we could handle the 12,000 a year.
My wages a year was about 10,500
Yeah.
for the year, and I'm varied in hours, week. Yeah, but the payment we get from you guys, that's reliable for the help.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I didn't, I don't want to cause hardship onto the chamber.
Yeah.
First thing you know, next year it's gonna be, well,
And
we
the
got
membership-
15
memberships is
to help
growing,
subsidize other
but that's
programs.
a year-to-year thing too. You never know one year where your membership amount's gonna come from.
Yeah.
So,
And one of the things we talked about too is just, it's gonna be real important for us to work chamber and economic development to stay in touch.
I agree.
The biggest thing I think for us is gonna be, because that person sits in there by themselves, is having a really meaningful way to track their work. Like, how many phone calls did you make and receive today? How many emails? And then we're just gonna have to be really good about checking the tasks, and saying, okay, you need to allocate this much time to your chamber duties, you need to allocate this much. And so a little bit of this is everybody flying blind here, but at the same time, continuing to do what we're doing is not a good solution either. And so none of us are even, Jerry and I were talking a little bit before the meeting started, none of us are even sure that this applicant will accept this, This is just our move to say, hey, you know what? We can start to lay a foundation for something here, that a cooperative, that our groups can get together and accomplish these things, so.
I think by starting with a salary that we're kind of talking about the lower band, because we don't really know this individual all that well personally. So let them work a while and see how good or what, if they're capable of doing what we want.
Right.
In other words, 6 months probation.
Yeah, definitely.
Council, do you in agreement with?
Yeah.
The board's decision to offer the applicant?
Okay, good. And then next, I'll just get with you, Jill, in the next couple of days and talk about what does that look like if we do make an offer to this person.
And if they do, they got to appoint that applications first, sign an appointment contract.
Yeah.
Various people.
Okay. Did you guys have anything else on that?
I don't think so.
Okay, if that's all I've got then for you guys.
All right, thank you. Anybody have anything for next? Everybody? Brady?
Nope, good. All right.
Thank you, guys. Nick. Appreciate it. Good job. Rec Commission, you're next on the agenda. Joey? You Get somebody want to wake him up?
I was kind of falling asleep there. So I think we have two parts to this. First part is we were just changing roles within the rec commission and wanting that approved by you guys. Billy Thayer is our rec director currently, and due to his job and being out of town most of the week, Billy brought it up that Sean would probably be a better fit. Sean's been picking up a lot of the work that Billy's not able to do while he's on the road. So as a board, we wanted to put it forward that Sean would be rec director and Billy would take his spot on the board. In addition to that, with Sean leaving the treasurer position, I would take that over and Tiffany would take over my position as secretary on the board. So basically, it's just kind of moving us around within the board.
Okay. How do we want to do that? Just make a motion to that, or do we even need to have it in that position?
So we may need to do, if we could, just like a brief executive session to talk about some legal issues with what they want to do, and Joey can stay and we can go over it all, and that way you guys have a better understanding of all the different moving parts.
Okay. Council, I need a councilman to request a recess for an executive session.
How long do you think?
Oh, 5 minutes. Yeah, I won't.
Almost should
It'll be
have a
quick.
5-minute executive session after.
I need a second to go into recess for an executive session for 5 minutes, to talk about non-elected personnel.
Second.
It moved and seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Actually,
Motion
Joey,
carries.
you could probably
I'll
say
get the
too,
timer
because
on.
you understand like where the checks come from.
Come on, man.
Mhm.
I will come up talk to Ray.
Oh, yeah. That'd be real handy to have that.
I can get a hold of it.